The PSVR2 will release on February 22nd, 2023. And as that is my birthday, I have to ask, will this be a good birthday present? Will it bring me joy and entertainment, or will it end up as another disappointment? Why do I even care? I am a PCVR guy, I am still very happy with my index, but I am very much interested in other VR platforms because they all have a palpable impact on each other. The Quest 2 has pretty much alone shaped VR gaming in the last 2 years, and that had a lasting and for the most part negative effect on PCVR, as it made game developers take up the stance that they can only make a profit when their games run or can easily be ported to mobile hardware. And that for sure had an impact on the type and scope of games that were made. The PSVR2 has a chance to pivot that scale back into the other direction, so that it is deemed worthwhile again to create games for stronger hardware. So what do we know about the PSVR2? A lot actually, quite a lot. This is how it looks, this is its price, or if you want to get it in a bundle with its flagship title Horizon Call of the Mountain, this is its price. Which is... we will get to that later. And don't forget you will need a PS5, which is still hard to get if not for ridiculous scalper prices. And I don't have one, I don't. It has a display resolution of 2000 x 2000 pixels per eye, a refresh rate of up to 120 Hz, a field of view of 110 degrees. That's all okay. It's nothing special, nothing out of the ordinary. There are two things to point out though. First are the controllers, which will have adaptive triggers like on the DualSense. That could be pretty amazing for VR if implemented correctly. The second thing is eye tracking. The headset has an internal infrared camera that tracks where you are looking at. This allows for a technique called foveated rendering, where only the area of the screen you really focus on gets rendered in full resolution and everything else in a lower resolution to improve performance. But let's be real here. Foveated rendering is cool, but neither that nor more lifelike avatars in VR chat are the reason that eye tracking exists. That is just a way to sell it to you. Eye tracking is the only way for advertisers to get exact numbers on how long consumers actively look at an ad. That is very valuable information, and this market is far too big for any company to ignore. Eye tracking will have a massive impact on how games will be made and monetized in the future.
Hello, I like money.
But I'm getting off track here. I don't think that the hardware specs will sell the PSVR2. Sony's strategy has always been to sell the console through a very strong library of games, and that is what the PSVR2 will have to rely on too. So how is this looking? We have Horizon Call of the Mountain, Resident Evil Village VR, Resident Evil 4 Remake VR. Editor? So Call of the Mountain looks pretty amazing. There are just two concerns from what we know right now. First is that there's no free movement in combat. You will be locked in a circle around the enemy and can only dodge left and right, so combat is bound to feel pretty scripted. That sounds bad on paper, but maybe it's fun to play, we'll have to wait and see. The second thing is playtime. This game is supposed to be like 6 to 7 hours long, that's rather short. I've seen a lot of people saying it's okay because that's what most VR games are at. I don't get that argument. VR is not in a good state right now. It's not enough to keep that status quo. But to be fair, I don't mind games being a bit short either, when the experience you get is really focused and on point. Most VR games are like 20 to 30 bucks, which seems to be a good place for the amount of content you get. So how expensive will Call of the Mountain be? 70 euro or 60 US dollar. That is how expensive Call of the Mountain is going to be. You get it for 50 in a bundle with a PSVR2, remember? And people who see that price tag and from that derive that this has to be a mainline Horizon title, they are not going to be happy with that purchase. For that price they are going to be disappointed even if the game is fun to play. And the last thing VR needs right now is another disappointment. So you have a short Horizon spin-off that is way overpriced, 2 VR ports of Resident Evil games, one of which is a remake, and a decent list of older PCVR and Quest titles that get ported to the PSVR2. That's not much. Sure, there are valid arguments to play Resident Evil Village in VR, but I mean there's already a VR mod for the PC version, so that is not even new. I don't get Sony's strategy here. The VR market is under a lot of pressure and just waiting for somebody to come and release a Valve, pun absolutely intended. VR is only a gimmick. There are no good games except Half-Life Alyx maybe. I still hear and see those lines all the time, and that is not going to change as long as the majority of games are made to run on mobile hardware. Sony has the opportunity to change that narrative, but they will fail with just short spin-offs and ports. Why not do what Valve did? Valve took their most iconic IP and created a full-fledged game with a decent sized campaign built from the ground for VR and gave it away for free to anyone who bought their hardware. And everybody loved it. So why not just copy that? Why not create a full Horizon VR game and give it away for free with every PSVR2 purchase to promote the platform? Then you can release it on PC a year later or so to recover some of the production costs. Sony has so many first-party IPs that would do great in VR, not as ports, but as built for VR full titles. What about The Last of Us, Uncharted, fucking Spider-Man, or Ghost of Tsushima even? Sony, your one objective here is not to make profit with your launch title. Your objective is to sell as many PSVR2 headsets as possible so you can make a profit with game sales in the future. I mean, I'm sure the marketing expert at Sony know what they are doing, but it seems kind of short-sighted to me, but what do I know? Well, I do know one thing. If the PSVR2 collects dust on the shelves because their launch title gets bad press, that is going to help nobody. As a PCVR player, I sincerely hope that the PSVR2 will be a success. It seems to me though that Sony is not all in, that they are not doing what they could to promote their platform. So get your shit together, Sony. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.